All right, and we're live. Okay. Let's see, a couple people in the chat. Is this Fire Emblem music? No, Fire Emblem's gay. It's Mario Galaxy. Somebody asked for a Discord link. Yeah, I'll give the Discord link. Why not? Discord's fun on the bun. Just a bit of a lazy stream. Mostly just playing around with Streamlabs. I was thinking I might stream a game, but there's not really anything on my computer I feel like playing right now. Real quick, Discord link. And that's not letting me paste for some reason. Shit. Oh well. Fuck it. Maybe somebody else put it in there. Moderator. 2 mass shootings in less than 24 hours. Is that crazy enough? Somebody says I'm coming in a little low. Turn the mic volume up a little bit. Alright. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you on that. I mean, I don't care how many mass shootings there are. I'm not giving up my guns. And weren't we passing that meme around like 2 weeks ago? Of, it was like the penguin and he had the little sandwich board. And it said, with all these high-level arrests in the pedophile rings, how do you put it? With all the high-level arrests in the pedophile rings, we're bound to get a mass shooting or something to distract us. And, so, there we go. So it says, in Minecraft, what would your kill score be if you went pew pew? Well, I, of course, would not do such a thing, even in Minecraft. But probably not that great. I'm not really a very good shot, being honest with you. I mean, it was less than 10 years ago that I picked up a gun for the first time. I didn't grow up with them or anything like that. I think like 2012 is when I bought my first gun. So, and I'm hardly much of a shot, so. Let's see, a couple of things I want to talk about. Dashing Rogue had somebody on his channel earlier, and I caught the tail end of it, but it was somebody whose YouTube handle was what was it? It was some gay shit about Logos, Logos Media, I want to say, and he was talking about how the chosen, the Jews, they're good boys and they didn't do nothing. So it was quite interesting. It was quite interesting. I caught like the tail end of it. Guy's an obvious shill. Guy's incredibly humorless. Like I asked a question in the chat, and I'm like, maybe you guys covered this, but yeah, how do you get thrown out of 110 countries if if the problem isn't you? And he's like, that number's grossly inflated. It might as well be 6 billion. If you want to talk about inflated numbers that start with 6. But then he basically argues that it's the evil Christians did it. Christians were mean to Jews, and that's how that happened throughout history, over and over and over again. Look, the guy had some points just in what I heard about the alt-right, blaming anything and everything in the universe on Jews. That said, though, that didn't come out of nowhere, and I think there's some middle ground between Jews are responsible for all the evils in the world and they're good boys who didn't do nothing and everybody else is mean to them. I think there's a little bit, I shouldn't say common ground, I think there's a little bit of something in between there. It's a little closer to reality. I don't know. People, they just got to think this shit in like black and white. And honestly, You know, the guy couldn't take any kind of joke or anything like that. I'm joking around in the chat because I tend to do that. He's so super serial. And, you know, he's got logos in his fucking handle. Like, don't take anybody seriously that has logos in their fucking handle. Just don't do it. Don't do it. That is a... let's see. People were talking about the El Paso shooter. I've literally heard people claim he's a Trump supporter and people claim he's Antifa. I don't know what the fuck he was. I don't care. He was a fucking maniac who you know, it's a fucking asswipe. You know, I don't care what I don't care what particular movement that hollow, virtually soulless piece of shit latched himself onto to try and find some form of identity. Someone says the Virgin Autistic Logos poster versus the Chad Lego church builder. Yeah, literally, I'm not going to trust any... I shouldn't say trust. I'm not going to take anybody seriously anymore if they're wandering around saying fucking logos. All right. It's all cringe. It's all... I think we can get rid of the meme scroll here. I discovered something yesterday. And it didn't used to be this way on here. Because I only added like a few memes to my show meme folder. I used to be able to import the folder in, and it would play them all. And now I've discovered that when I import the folder in, it only plays about half of them. I want to say like the first 50 or so. Which it didn't used to do. And I even tried putting them all in one at a time. And it still only put in the first 50 that I put in. So I guess there's now a limit to how many images you can have in the slideshow. So I'm just going to pick a different few each time and throw them up in there. Let's see. How many more mass shootings before the 2020 election? I couldn't tell you. But again, it's like I don't care. Everybody's acting like, oh, it's just this epidemic. What are we going to do? I don't know. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go about I'm going to live my life until I die. Possibly at the hands of a mass shooter. More likely from car accident or heart attack, but possibly at the hands of a mass shooter. What are you going to do? I'm not going to sit here and worry about it. I'm not going to, I'm certainly not handing over my guns. So, fuck it. These things can be, I don't know if these things are staged, false flags, Alex Jones style. I don't know if they're real. Some of them are probably one, some of them probably another. But I don't care. Some maniac lost his shit and shot a bunch of people. Oh well. Shit happens. I'm not going to sit here and sweat it. Oh no, yeah. White males are terrorists, whatever. Let's see what I want to talk about. I gotta get some scripts done for Luke. I wanted to do a video on the Amalgam comics from the mid-90s that Marvel and DC did together. I wanted to, I actually wanted last month to do the Christmas shopping guide for geeks thing that I do each year. I did the past 2 years, I should say. Kind of get that out early because one of my contentions is with Christmas shopping that you should do it early. I mean, I'm usually done by Thanksgiving. Which I prefer that. I prefer to be able to just kind of relax and enjoy the Christmas season. I love Christmas. And I don't want to have to rush around. Like, I get a few things for people during Christmas, but I'm done the vast majority of it. So. So he says, Bechtloff, look up Hook Meat Girls Vice News. Good Lord. I don't know if I want to look that up. Well, yeah, like I was saying, I'm mostly done my Christmas shopping now. It's August, so. $20 from the Spice Weasel. He says, we'll have to catch the replay, but wanted to send some shekels your way before you went off air. Well, thank you very much. Very appreciated. But, yeah, like I said, just about done the Christmas shopping. I only have a small kind of list of, it's basically my dad and about half a dozen very close friends are pretty much all I get for. And a lot of that I do in the summer at like various cons and shit like that. If you got any, like, because that's the thing, a lot of geeks, and I know most of the people listening to this, you're somewhat geeky. Geeks cannot be, they're not always easy to shop for. And real quick, I'm going to throw some things up. I was at Hallmark because I went to the mall. And let's see if I can find it. Oh. No, that's not what we want. Sorry, folks. I'm Boomer Bechtloff here is learning OBS. Relearning, I should say. Let's see. So, if I can find it. So, that's something I saw. They got a Ghostbusters car ornament over at Hallmark. That was kind of cool. They also have an Iron Man. They have a Princess Peach and a Bowser this year. A bunch of cool shit. Hallmark's a pretty decent place to do Christmas shopping. Gary the Dog says, can you explain the correlation between abortions and clogged up kitchen sinks? Okay, so there's somebody on Facebook I'm friends with. I know her through Erin Clary. And she's a nice woman, but she's hyper, I don't want to say evangelical, but conservative Protestant, religious right, I guess you used to call them. And she put up a post about how, of course there's mass shootings in the country because abortion is legal. Oh, jeez. And I just to fuck with her, I posted under it. I was like, my kitchen sink clogged today. Is there any way we can also blame that on abortion? And they weren't. It didn't go over that well. A lot of the pro-lifers are pretty humorless about things. Somebody says Hallmark has some cool stuff. Yeah, I mentioned that in one of my holiday geek shopping guides last year. Or no, 2 years ago. That a lot of people don't think of that, but if you're shopping for geek friends, there's lots of Hallmark ornaments to get them. I mean, they got all sorts of pop culture shit. So it says abortion is bad. DNA determines what something is, not the stage it is in during its development. Well, I mean, all my DNA is in every. If I cut my finger off, is that a twin? It's got all my DNA. Yeah, blueprint's not a building. So he says they're still talking about bump stocks. I thought they banned bump stocks. Wasn't that the thing that, like, I don't remember. Maybe Trump was just talking about doing it or something. So he says, do you think the Zeta Project is the most underrated of the DC animated universe? I don't really remember anything about the Zeta Project. The first time I thought about it in years was Angry Video Game Nerd did a refresh, a sort of follow-up on the Superman 64 game, which is based on Bruce Timm animated cartoon. And he talked about the Bruce Timmversity. He mentioned the Zeta Project, which, as he put it, nobody remembers. And I'm like, oh yeah, that was a thing. I really don't remember anything about it. Somebody says the blueprint argument is flawed. DNA will lead to it becoming human. A blueprint is just a creative if. Oh, so it's just going to automatically lead to it becoming a human? Okay, well then I guess, we'll just leave it in the petri dish and it'll become a person, right? Doesn't need any help. Um, Zeta Project was the Batman Beyond spinoff. Yeah, I don't remember anything about it. I'll leave some blood around. It will become a copy of me. Yeah, it doesn't work that way. Yeah, it doesn't just become a person on its own. In fact, interestingly enough, it needs another person to to make that happen. And obviously, it's an analogy. It's not perfect, but yeah, like I said, if you can't show me his brain activity, I don't consider it a person. I don't care. You could hold in your hand a petri dish of a fertilized egg and fling it across, like fling it into a fucking furnace, and I'd be like, whatever. I wouldn't feel a thing. It's not. It's nothing. It's. Let's see. Zeta Project was pretty woke for its time. Well, that doesn't sound good. The Batman Beyond template as a reboot for the Batman films would be GOAT. Modern classic /20s is age now. Do some cyberpunk Batman. It's funny, Batman Beyond. It's really funny how much it took from the Marvel 2099 line. Like, it really, really aped the Marvel 2099 line in a big way. But yeah, I don't think I've ever seen Zeta Project. I might have caught a little bit of it, but I couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you anything about it. I had completely forgot it existed for the longest time. Batman Beyond I didn't like when it first came out because they stopped making regular Batman when they started making Batman Beyond, and I didn't like it as much as regular Batman, but it grew on me over time. What else did I want to talk about? Not really much going on this week. I mean, the mass shooter thing. It's like I'm not giving up my guns though. I don't want to hear it. It's the same fucking whining every time this crap happens. It's like I don't want to hear it. The answer is no. How many kids have to die before you support gun control? How about all of them? That's how many has to die before I support gun control. All of them. Because it's just not happening. Let's see. What else did I want to talk about? Oh, here we go. Here's an interesting little article. This is off of NBCnews.com, and they're serious with this. Russia's propaganda machine discovers 2020 Democrat candidate Tulsi Gabbard. Experts who track websites and social media linked to Russia have been seen stirrings of a possible campaign of support for Hawaiian Democrat Tulsi Gabbard. Anytime somebody comes out here and, they propose any kind of a mind their own business foreign policy, they get smeared as some sort of Russian agent. Doesn't matter if they're left wing, alt right, uh, you know, le- libertarian, what have you. They always get smeared with that. The Russian propaganda machine that tried to influence the 2016 U.S. election, again, not even, no fucking evidence for any of this shit, is now promoting the presidential aspirations of a controversial Hawaiian Democrat who earlier this month declared her intention to run for president in 2020. They're trying to smear the fuck out of her. An NBC News analysis of main English language news sites employed by Russia in its 2016 election meddling shows Representative Tulsi Gabbard of Hawaii, who's set to make her former announcement on Saturday. When was this? This was back in February. Oh, they were pushing this nonsense back in February. Man. Yeah, they really don't like her. So he says Timverse was animated MCU before MCU. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely the best superhero cartoons basically ever. I don't think they've ever been topped. As far as, a series goes. They topped pretty much everything Marvel did. Marvel did some good shit, though, over the years. Marvel did a cartoon right before Disney acquired them. Or almost right around the time of Disney acquiring them, I guess. Called Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes. And it had a bit more of a stylized art style. And then they canceled that and switched it to Avengers Assemble, which was the Disney produced one. Earth's Mightiest Heroes, though, is very, very good. Highly recommend Earth's Mightiest Heroes. That's probably the best Marvel cartoon ever. That's up there with like Spider-Man and X-Men's 90s cartoon. But yeah, the Bruce Timm stuff easily. I mean, the Batman animated series is the best superhero cartoon ever made. Um, it's funny. Bruce Timm actually got his start um, drawing the little He-Man comics that used to come with the action figures back in the 80s. So he says, "What do you think of the X-Men Evolution cartoon?" It was pretty good. They sort of reimagined everything, that they were teenagers and in high school, and Mystique was secretly the principal or some nonsense like that. So, I mean, you have to take it as almost sort of that Elseworlds, everything's reimagined through this filter kind of thing. But if you accept that, and you're not looking for it to be, beat for beat on the source material, it's pretty damn good. There actually was going to be a Spider-Man episode of that. I saw an interview with one of the creators that they were gonna, because they were in a high school and they were gonna have them traveling to another high school to play. The basketball teams were playing each other, and Peter Parker was going to be on that basketball team right after he had gotten his powers, sort of like what they did in the original Ultimate Spider-Man comic. But there was actually some rights issues between Sony and shit. They couldn't do it. Um, yeah, it wasn't bad. Um, the X-Men and Wolverine show was pretty decent too. Again, not bad. There was a Fantastic Four cartoon around '06 that had a sort of a manga art style. I think it was just called Fantastic Four. I don't remember what exactly it was called. It was on Cartoon Network. Um, Pretty good stuff, though. Let's see. Most of the Marvel cartoons before Disney acquired them were pretty decent. I think the first kind of really bad Marvel cartoon was Ultimate Spider-Man. That's not true. The Fantastic Four and Iron Man cartoons were pretty bad in the '90s. At least there were like two seasons of Fantastic Four. One, I think the second season was actually pretty good. The first season was rough, and the Iron Man cartoon was ass from start to finish. Somebody says I think it was a cash grab of the X Men films at the time. Um, yeah, not really. Actually, part of the reason they had to make things so differently was because of a bunch of license entanglements with Fox and shit like that. Which is weird because it's not like the Fox X Men movies have ever been extremely close to the source material, but whatever. Um, what do you think of Young Justice, considering it's still going? I haven't seen any of the current Young Justice stuff. I think it's streaming on like DC Universe streaming service or something. I haven't seen any of it, so I couldn't tell you. I've heard it got really paused. Like I think like the Black Aqualad is gay now or something. Um, Opinions on Amish restaurants? Not a fan. Actually, there's a restaurant right here in town called Laps that I believe the guy's ex Amish. Maybe he's Mennonite or something, but I think he's actually ex Amish. But he's still like super religious, and the food there is absolute shit. First of all, it's that kind of country kitchen shit that I think is crap. But it's also not even good by that standards. So he says, "Do you really think Blade Trinity is better than Blade 2?" Oh yeah, I think Blade 2 is garbage. Um, I mean, Blade Trinity isn't that great, but it's decent. Yeah, it's got a bit more comedic tone to it, um, but it's a decent watch. Blade 2 is just fucking shit. Um, so he says, "I know you aren't interested in MCU, but apparently the Fantastic Four was teased." I mean, we'll see. I'll approach MCU movies on a case by case basis. If something about it catches my eye, that's fine. Yeah. But I'm not following it as a whole anymore. Even before Endgame, I never saw Black Panther because I was told I had to or I'm racist and I don't respond to blackmail. Um, I didn't see Captain Marvel because it legit looked like shit. And I didn't see Ant-Man 2 because I just didn't get around to it. Somebody says the Reaper vampires make the regular ones look like Twilight vampires. It was just so fucking lame. It was just like, here's the Ultra Mega vampires. Oh, jeez. Let's see. Somebody says MJ in Far From Home surprised me. I liked her more than I thought I would based on Homecoming. I don't know. I didn't see Far From Home. Have no intention to. I liked Thor Ragnarok. I did too. Yeah, I like Thor Ragnarok. I like all the Thor movies. Even 2 isn't that bad. Its biggest crime, really, I think, is just kind of forgettable. Trailers don't do Far From Home justice. I mean, it looks like shit, and I don't have any interest in it. It's a terrible version of Peter Parker. I don't like this little gay twink version of Peter Parker at all. Um, the inclusion of Captain Marvel before Endgame just sent her up for embarrassment as she amounted to nothing. Yeah, she really didn't matter in Endgame all that much. She saved Stark. That's about all she actually fucking accomplished. Um, but I don't have any interest in like, I don't know. What if maybe you know Thor 4 looks like absolute garbage. Some of those shows maybe they'll be okay, like Wanda and Vision and Falcon and Captain America, maybe. Who knows? Um, Doctor Strange 2 actually sounds pretty promising. Um, that's the only one I would actually say I'm legit excited for, at least from what I know so far, which isn't much. Um, well, we finally have a Hulk versus Wolverine on the big screen now that Disney has Fox. I don't know. I don't know. I kind of just wish they give the MCU a rest and give it a couple years and reboot it. Like it's wound down. All right, give it a couple years and reboot it. Somebody says, "Who would you replace Hugh Jackman?" I don't know of anybody really. I think your best bet is to probably find some unknown. That usually works out best with these kind of things. Nobody knew who Hugh Jackman was before X-Men. Unless you happen to be a big fan of like soap operas in Australia or something, nobody knew who the fuck he was. There were actually reports in the '90s that maybe Mel Gibson was going to end up as Wolverine. They were talking about a Wolverine movie I remember '97. There was real talk of maybe do a Wolverine movie before they do an X-Men movie kind of thing. X-Men it was a pretty big deal at the time. But I don't think those movies have aged that well. Let's see. Scrolling through. Would you say Mormons greater than Amish? Well, I mean, the Mormons aren't fucking up the public roads, so they got that going for them. Look into the chat, seeing if I missed some shit. Let's see. Legos, not logos, indeed. Yeah, I would not. I would not take anybody seriously who goes on about logos anymore. Like, just no. If it's in your fucking. And it's. Everybody's latched onto it because I guess it's some sort of meme among these circles. Everybody's like, oh, logos. They call their shitty podcast Logos Rising or whatever. Sort of like how a month or two ago everybody was going on about the Clown World shit. And so people would call their podcast the Honkler Report or something like that. And it's how dated, why would you call your podcast that? You know how dated that's going to be in a couple of months? You know how dated the Logos shit is? You started a podcast, Logos Media and all this other shit. You know how dated that's going to be in a year? When this shit has become completely associated with shitbags like Davis Arini. And you're going to be sitting here with your YouTube channel that's called Logos Rise Up or whatever. Somebody says, the way Hollywood has gone full pause, I'd like movies and TV shows to stop being made altogether. Somebody says, how was Dark Phoenix movie? I didn't get around to seeing Dark Phoenix. I heard everybody say it was shit. I don't know. The trailers looked halfway decent. To me, at least. I was happy to see him try and actually do a Dark Phoenix story where the Dark Phoenix is truly a cosmic entity and not just Jean Grey gets moody sometimes. But I didn't get around to seeing it. And I heard nothing but bad things, so I guess my read on the trailers was off. I heard somebody say that's the 20th X-Men movie or something like that. Somebody says Mystique said it should be changed into X-Women in the movie. Well, Jennifer Lawrence is fucking terrible, okay? And everything she does is terrible, all right? I saw a meme where it was like Rebecca Romaine Stamos did not do that awesome stunt scene where she slid her bare coochie out that sliding metal door just for you to besmirch her name like this, Jennifer. So he says, "Have you watched Veki? Veki? I can't say that I have. Um, can't say. I don't even know what that is. So no, I don't believe I've watched it. Um, would you have liked to see the Riddler in the third Nolan Batman over Bane? Yeah, probably. I heard a rumor after Dark Knight that they were considering Eddie Murphy of all things for the Riddler. Uh, that's one of those casting decisions that is so fucking out there that when you hear it, you wonder, was there just a really awesome audition? Did he just blow him away with an audition or something? Because that's the kind of that's the kind of casting that makes no fucking sense. But at the same time, would you have thought Luke Skywalker would make a great voice of the Joker? So who knows? Maybe he blew him away with a fucking audition or something. Like I remember hearing that rumor. I'm like, what? Oh man. You know, another one I heard. It wasn't that he was he was he wanted to get the role really bad. The guy from Big Bang Theory who plays the really really super autistic one, the Bazinga guy, Sheldon. What the hell is that actor's name? Jim Parsons. He actually was saying he really really wanted to do the Riddler, and he's actually a pretty decent actor. I could actually see him really blowing an awesome performance away on that. Say what you will about that show, but I think he could. I think he could do that pretty well. Somebody says I heard a rumor that Robin Williams might do the Riddler in the series. Well, I mean he's not going to do that now, uh, but actually that was one of the ones they were considering back when Batman Forever was getting. You know, when they were auditioning for Batman Forever, I guess there were talks or something for him to play the Riddler. And when you think back to like the Batman animated series, the way the Riddler was portrayed originally in that, you could see Robin Williams really nailing that. Well, where Jim Carrey's Riddler was basically like, what if the Joker was a pussy? You know, it was way too over the top. Um, Starship Troopers cartoon, yay or nay? I don't know. Maybe if somebody was doing it right. Says Eddie Murphy turned it down to play Pluto Nash. Oh no, that wasn't around the same time. But I don't know what happened to that. It was just a rumor. But I remember it was all over like comic boards and it was on a bunch of different sites. So I don't know where the rumor. Somebody says I like the Starship Troopers cartoon. Oh, I didn't know that was an actual thing. I thought you were saying like, would that be good? Yeah, I did not know that was an actual thing. Um, Rebecca Stamos is best Mystique. Yes, indeed, she is. Um, Roughneck Chronicles. Yeah, I didn't know anything about that. I legit thought Jim Carrey was gay when I saw him as a Riddler. I don't even know what gay was back then, but looking back, yeah, the two Schumer movies borrowed very very heavily from the Adam West TV show in the worst possible ways. I kind of like Tommy Lee Jones Two Face. Like you can really see he's giving it his all, but he's just got nothing to work with that script. Is Ras Al Ghul pronounced Raish Al Ghul? I always thought it was Raz Al Ghul, but I've heard a lot of different things pronounce it differently. Like I think the Arrow cartoon pronounced it Raish. Um, didn't they pronounce it that way in the Nolan movies too? I don't know. Schumer, they're called comic books, not drama books. Uh, Joe Schumacher. Schumacher was his name. But they're his movies were not good, not good at all. And he did Falling Down. It's like you're capable of doing more than this. I don't know what. Um, It says Saturday Night Live stream still. Yeah, I for some reason the name didn't change. I'll worry about it later. Um, Thoughts on the Swamp Thing series? Haven't seen it yet. Supposedly it got canceled though before it even aired because of some sort of accounting error of all things. That's on the DC Universe streaming app, I believe, which I don't have. At some point, I'm just gonna end up canceling the satellite and just getting a bunch of streaming apps. But you know, weaning my boomer dad off TV is not gonna be easy. Um, do you think shippings who ends up with who are gay? I don't know. I mean, you go too far down the rabbit hole of a fandom, you're gonna end up with losing your mind. The Riddler and Two Face did make a cute couple, though. Thoughts of Justice League of Gods and Monsters? I actually like that. The Elseworld, where it was like, Superman was actually the son of Zod, and Wonder Woman was a chick from Apocalypse, and Batman was basically Langston, the guy who turns himself into Man Bat, except he essentially turned himself into Morbius. That's a really cool little Elseworlds thing. Uh, and they just made that up for the cartoon. That wasn't originally from a comic. They did then do comics based on that, and they sort of made that universe part of the DC multiverse. But it's a pretty cool alternate universe. I like that. And I'm a sucker for alternate universes. So he says the TV show Legion had an amazing first season, is having a great third season. Second season sucked. Um, what do you think of Johnny Depp winning his counter case against Amber Heard? Think Me Too is dying. He lost his role as Jack Sparrow because of that scab. I wasn't aware he was not going to be in any Pirates movies going forward. I don't know why would you even do a Pirates of the Caribbean movie without him? If you don't have him and Jeffrey Rush in there, what the hell's the point? But yeah, eventually that Me Too shit was going to collapse. It was hollow. There was no way they were going to be able to keep that shit up. Ever heard of the comic book Black Science? It sounds like Neil deGrasse Tyson crap, but it's cool. It's all about anarchist scientists traveling through alternate universes. Well, it sounds like a cool idea. Might check it out. Amber Heard is nuts, but man, is she hot in Aquaman. Oh, was she Mara in Aquaman? I couldn't really place the name. What did you think of Static Shock? It was alright. If you ever get a chance, the original comics are actually worth watching. They have a very indie, or not worth watching, worth reading. They have a very indie comics feel. It was just called Static back then. But Static Shocks, it was a decent cartoon. It wasn't as good as a lot of its contemporaries, like Batman Beyond or Batman or Superman, but it was decent. All right. Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I just wanted to do a short little stream. And, yeah. That's about all I got for tonight, folks. I thank you all for listening. Bechtloff out.